Apple recently announced its new 15-inch MacBook Air at WWDC, and we are finally able to get our hands on it. It looks like they took the current 13-inch model and just stretched it out to 15 inches, which actually is not too far from what they actually did, and this is also a good thing. 15-inch laptops are by far the most popular size, so it's been a little odd that up until now, Apple hasn't gone after this with their Air models. But now the 15-inch MacBook Air is entering the market as a premium model starting at $1299, but it has the specs to back that up. Looking at that screen first, since that's what we're all here for, you'll see a 15.3-inch liquid retina display with a 2880 by 1864 resolution. The LED backlit IPS panel has the usual specs from Apple with a dense 224 pixels per inch for extra sharp rendering and P3 wide color support. It can also reach a brightness of 500 nits and has True Tone technology. Now you might be debating between the 13-inch MacBook Air and the 15-inch one. I would say the 13-inch version is a perfect everyday laptop if you're traveling often and are constantly pulling it in and out of your bag or backpack. The 15-inch though is still very portable, but the larger size might make it bulky in situations like on a plane. That makes the 15-inch an excellent choice if you carry your laptop with you but only pull it out when you get to work or are at home. And luckily the larger size also comes with a larger battery, so you get to keep the same 18 hours of playback that the 13-inch model has enjoyed. A nice touch here is that the 15-inch model comes by default with the new 35-watt dual USB-C charger. If you have the optional 70-watt USB-C adapter, you can get faster charging via the MagSafe 3 connection. Talking about performance, next we have the M2 chip. Every 15-inch configuration comes with a full M2 featuring an 8-core CPU, 4 performance and 4 efficiency cores, and a 10-core GPU. There is of course Apple's 16-core neural engine as well as a dedicated media engine for faster video encoding and decoding, including Apple's pro-quality ProRes formats. If you're coming from an M1 chip, the M2 should be a boost of about 18% for CPU performance and 35% for GPU performance, around 1.4 times faster overall. If you're coming from an Intel-based Mac, this thing is going to blow that out of the water with 12 times better performance than the fastest Intel MacBook Air. The MacBook Air is truly positioned by Apple as the laptop for everyone. The M2 chip will be more than powerful enough for everyday productivity apps like Chrome, Microsoft Office, or Zoom, and that means you can expect to rely on the MacBook Air as your daily driver for years to come. But for more professional users, it's also more than capable of running Photoshop and NLEs like DaVinci Resolve without issue. Now, if you're a creator, you might be curious if the MacBook Air will be enough for you or whether you should spend the extra cash on the MacBook Pro. I'll give you the answer that I'm sure you'll love to hear, which is, it depends. But to give some examples of use cases, if you're a photographer whose editing is limited to a few layers in Photoshop and some simple retouching, you will be fine with the Air. But if you're a filmmaker working with 8K RAW footage on the latest Red camera, you'll be hitting the upper limit of the MacBook Air pretty quickly. Independent creators with simpler workflows though will do just fine on the MacBook Air. The fanless design is great for everyday use, but it does mean that if you expect to power through 8 hours to get an edit done, you won't be realizing the full potential of that silicon. The MacBook Pro is the laptop for creators. The extra heft brings with it more power, a lot more power, and the quality of life improvements of that can't be understated. The M2 Pro, which is the base processor for the MacBook Pro, has more CPU cores, nearly twice the GPU cores, and can support more memory with faster bandwidth. That is performance that you will see, especially if you're pushing your computer to its limits. Another thing to look at is the connectivity options. The MacBook Air has 2 Thunderbolt ports and a 3.5mm audio jack. The MacBook Pro has 3 Thunderbolt ports, an SD card reader, an HDMI output, and a 3.5mm audio jack. The Pro model also brings with it a phenomenal XDR display that will bring your images to life with enhanced highlights and deeper blacks. It also gets a little bit more battery life than the MacBook Air does. The simplest way to put it is whether or not you need the power and the extra cost and heft is worth it for your workload. The MacBook Air is suitable for light work or short bursts of heavy work. The MacBook Pro is capable of powering through heavy, sustained workloads. And if you're still not quite sure which MacBook is right for you, you can always reach out to our product experts here at B&H. But what do you think of the new 15-inch MacBook Air? Is this finally the Air you've been waiting for? Let us know in the comments below. Seriously, we do read them. I'm Nick with B&H. Stay creative.